right. Am I on camera
You are?
with a screen? This is what it should be. How are you doing? Good, good. Thanks for coming, guys. Well, before we start, you guys been sitting too long. Let's stand up on your feet, please. You guys came out dark Wednesday night. You could have been at the bar on a couch watching Netflix, doing something else. You came out for networking and education. Give a big hands for yourself first. Great job. And please do one shake hand, people around you. Introduce yourself. On Zoom, say hi. Oh, Zoom camera is this one. Okay. So, yeah. Yes. Okay, that should be fine. So, we do this meetup every second Wednesday usually. Today we have a little bit of irregular schedule, but we are here for 4 years. I never skipped any event every second Wednesday for two things: add value through your education, bring in new guest speakers every single month to bring a new idea, and then network. So we're going to introduce a great idea, great speech, experience from Suhan today. Make sure you get a lot of value on your real estate career, but you do extra one handshake before you leave to have a better network. Network is network. So hope you had a great networking event in first 30 minutes, and we're going to go back to network again. And we meet every second Wednesday. I started this group. My name is CJ Yamada, founder of Yamada Capital. We are private real estate equity, raising capital to generate passive income for investors. We are very special because we specifically target on assisted living and senior homes to catch the super tsunami of the entire nation. Also, we help the local advocate kids. By helping senior citizens who served our generation, we are trying to do something better for coming generations. I also do capital raising coaching program to raise capital together for my deal as to sit on a general partner, and also private money lenders. If you're interested in passive income, financial freedom, raising capital, fire your W-2 job, please contact me and I want to sit down with you. I know how to get there. Okay? Enough about me. I want to introduce my gorgeous co-host today. Where do you go? Oh, click it, scared. Okay, Kristen Gray. Before I talk about her anything, I want you to give her the biggest hands of the night. Be on the stage.
Do I need the mic?
Oh yeah, wait.
I'll give it back, I promise. Hey everyone, I'm Kristen Gray. I'm a local realtor here in Vegas. I've had my license for 10 years. I work mostly in residential here. However, I am buddy-buddy with several commercial agents in town, so if you have any commercial needs, I can definitely get those taken care of for you as well. I do host the Roundtable Lunch monthly. It's on the 4th Friday. The QR code is right there. And yeah, I've been helping CJ out with this event for like 18 months now.
Thank you. Good job. Okay, and next event would be, oh, sorry, go ahead, Kira, go. Got it? Okay.
Sorry.
Next event, February 27th would be her round the table, and the second Wednesday of March, I'll bring another friend of mine, actually from Florida. Everybody lives in Florida. He's a Marine veteran, and he currently manages $300 million asset, financial freedom, from nothing, a little less than a decade.
And it's not going to be here. We have a new location.
Oh yeah, new location. We'll announce it. So make sure you come. Again, education and network. No cheating. That's the only way to get there. Okay? So today I brought Suhan from Florida, and he has been my great friend of mine. And what interesting about him is he didn't start from real estate. He started from Wall Street, and he was doing $20 billion transaction on a Wall Street. He didn't have to be on a Main Street real estate, but he decided because of data, analytic, objective decision. So we'll do a panel session. You guys are welcome to raise your hand, ask questions. But I'm going to talk about mainly why he decided to shift from Wall Street to Main Street, and how you can apply the data practice in your real estate career. Okay, with that, stand up again, please. And I want you to give the biggest hand of the night to Suhan from hey, thank you.
DJ, when are you moving to Florida?
In a couple of years. I want to do more deals and again. Okay.
Nevada is also a no state income tax state, right?
No.
Oh, it's have to be. Huh?
There's no income tax.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're all tax refugees from other states, mainly California. Okay, so I'm gonna shut up. To introduce yourself, mainly your background and Wall Street career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Like CJ mentioned, my name's Suhan. I currently live in Florida right now, but after school, after graduating, I spent almost a decade on Wall Street. I did, like he mentioned, about a little bit more than 20 billion in transactions across what they call M&A, or mergers and acquisitions, helping companies buy one another, selling parts of companies, equity raising. So either everyone's probably familiar with like an IPO, but also like different versions of that, and then helping people raise debt as well. I spent a lot of time in the industrial and healthcare sectors, which is actually where I first got exposed to assisted living and senior housing and that industry. I worked with a company that's the number 3 largest player in assisted living currently, but back then they were actually mostly skilled nursing, we call SNFs, and I was on a team that helped them transition by selling a 5-state portfolio and then redeploying that capital in assisted living. But long story short, I did that for about 8 years. Sort of got tired of the Wall Street grind.
Okay.
And there's also, I think, when you work any job or work like in financial services, like a principal agent problem, because you're an agent generating a lot of value, but most of that value is captured by the principal, the person with the money.
Yeah.
Right. So like we would do deals, we'd find good investments for like corporations or large investors like private equity firms, and we would be paid like fees, and I would give salary, but those guys would take home like the big checks and carry like
they always win.
Yeah. So I left. Like when I left, it was partly a personal decision and what I wanted from life, but also recognizing that I think to really win and really take advantage of like my parents are immigrants to the country, to really take advantage of the American dream, you've got to be the one taking the risk. You've got to be the principal.
So why Main Street? Like, you had enough I know you're tired of it and principal system, but you could have started your own on a Wall Street still. Like, why did you decide on Main Street real estate?
So this is, oh man, I don't want to like go off into tangents, but
that's okay.
If you sort of like look at what's been happening the last essentially since like Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
Like we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like if you look at like what the S&P 500 is since 2000, like up, I don't know, like few 100% or something, like not a few hundred, but it is up like really high if you look at it that way. But if you actually price the S&P 500 in terms of gold ounces, so you remove the impact of the dollar
As a buying power.
Yeah, like so you look at buying power. So in 2000, it took about 5.5 ounces, a little bit less than that, to buy the S&P 500.
Okay.
Today it takes 1.3 or like 1.4 ounces. It's gone down. It's almost like it's like worse than half. So if you actually look at that, like you can see that if you don't own real assets, not just financial assets like stocks, like you're losing purchasing power, and we don't even realize it because we're within the U.S. macro system. That there's a devaluation of the dollar that's happening by our government across all parties, like not from either side, but both of them, and it makes us think we're richer than we are, and that's actually what's like causing inflation. It's not just like that, you know, like it's like money supply and the value of the dollar. So things that we buy from overseas or even here are costing more because
expensive.
every dollar is like worth less.
Okay. Even you generate good returns on Wall Street.
Yeah, like to be fair, like you have to have a portfolio approach, in my opinion. Like you have to have investments in stocks, in bonds, other financial investments. But if you don't have exposure to real assets, and it's funny because real is also in real estate, but that's, you know, that could be like commodities like gold, silver, oil, but things that actually generate value and have inherent value, then I think you know, you're missing out on a large part of like the economy and like what's creating value for like professional investors.
So what's your
Actually, I want to add one thing. Like everyone thinks of like Steven Schwarzman and like Blackstone, the world's largest. I mean, if they're not the world's largest, they're like one of the biggest like private equity firms in the U.S. and globally. They mostly don't buy companies. Actually, their biggest funds buy U.S. real estate, and their growth was funded mostly from their real estate business.
okay? And what was there like a thought process? Okay, I'm gonna do real estate. I'm gonna leave here. I'm gonna do real estate. You just introduced the gold versus US dollar. How did you run your analysis on the numbers?
So there's like two pieces to that. There's the technical analysis, but there's also a like there's like a tangible part of real estate. You can touch it, you can see it, but you can control it. Is that what that really means? So when you're local to like your area, you have insight into what is happening, right? Like we were talking a little bit about like this area being like historic West Las, or like near West Las Vegas or something. You guys have like any person in a market understands what's happening locally, which means you have an advantage over some dude in like Manhattan or some dude somewhere else. And real estate's that gives that edge you have is illegal in most things. It's called insider trading in like the stock market. But in real estate, it's fully legal. Like you can see that like, oh, like there's a developer who's putting something up 5 miles down the road. So if I'm up from that, like, well, it's going to increase traffic counts. It's going to bring in jobs. Oh, like there's a way for me to like profit off that, and like I should invest accordingly with all that going on.
I want to ask you guys, what's the like a positive or maybe negative market insight data of Las Vegas neighborhood, for example? Formula One, A's building a baseball park.
I saw there's a new building. It's supposedly on the west side. It's being put up. This big market area, starting sometime in February, and it's supposedly going to be done on October of this year.
Okay.
New development on the west side.
Mariana's is putting in over on Flamingo and Pecos. They just bought that property out of foreclosure, that strip mall, and they're redoing the whole thing. So that's gonna bring a grocery to a food desert over there. So that'll help with the housing over there as well.
And Amazon distribution centers all over now. Is that something you're talking about?
And then Tony Hsieh's family, they've started to release properties
Tony,
again.
you know
So
the
the downtown's
properties.
gonna start getting big again.
Alex,
There's also a new airport coming.
new airport.
Oh, is that the one
Down
north
in
of the city?
Jean.
But it's Sloan,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that
yeah.
and also southbound.
So you guys are talking about things that are kind of like already here, but what's the coolest neighborhood here?
Summerlin.
Samoan?
Downtown, the Huntridge district
Wouldn't it
is
cool
going
us?
up.
Depends on who.
We're
It's just
But that's
yeah,
what I'm
we're the
saying,
hipsters.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Tony Hsieh's family hasn't really released any of the property, and
Okay.
so it's been really stagnant. And they're starting to release the properties for development now. Like they're starting to sell them, so people can develop down there and bring back that vision of community. So It's already, you can get a fourplex for like 1.2 million down there right now, and it's about to like skyrocket even more. That's where all the hipsters are downtown
Is
right
this something
now.
like an insider trade?
Well, it's like it's getting you guys to realize that you have a lot of this info already without realizing it. Like, so
That you didn't even know.
yeah. So like the hipsters are where? What neighborhood?
Downtown.
Downtown.
It's the
Okay.
Arts District.
The Arts District.
It's not that far from downtown, like Fremont
Uh-huh.
area.
So
Part
the
of it's
reason the Arts
Fremont.
District, right, the reason the
Yeah.
Arts District blew up though is because Tony Hsieh died.
Yeah.
And so his vision for the community wasn't able to be fulfilled because his estate had all that held up. And so all the people with the money who were putting money into downtown had to go and move to the Arts District, and now that money can flow back over to downtown. And a lot of people don't know that right now, that those properties are being bid.
So that's one thing. Where do you guys think all the new families are? Like if you were a new family, where would you tell them to live?
Southwest?
Somewhere.
I'm not allowed to have an opinion, I'm an
Some-
agent.
Yeah, Inspirada.
Inspirada.
Yeah.
Inspirada, Henderson.
Okay. Now, if you're a business owner,
Aliante's
if you're a
coming
restaurant owner,
too.
where would you want to be? What neighborhood?
Restaurants, downtown for sure.
Chinatown.
Eastern
Christian,
and
you're a realtor.
215.
You gotta stop. Where about you guys? Like, where do you guys think the new restaurant should be? If you guys would throw up a restaurant,
Chinatown.
China. Okay.
I would do is anywhere in the strip. You get the most tourist people over there.
Tourism's down right now, though. You gotta look at that. There's a lot of businesses that have been down there for decades that are closing right now.
Same for real estate.
Yeah. But regardless, like you guys see, like you guys have actually like
Green Valley.
without even like doing research, a lot of ideas about like where like things are happening in your local market that gives you an asymmetric advantage to like take advantage of like that like a lot of the development companies here probably some are based here, but a lot of them are probably not. They're maybe from like California, they're maybe from like the East Coast, but like you have an advantage over them because you get to see these things happen before they do. You get to hear your neighbors move like, oh, we're going to there. Why? The best schools are there. Oh, they have the best like I don't know, like parks, whatever it is. You get to see those trends in real time, and you can take advantage of them, and it's perfectly legal, unlike in the stock market.
Unlike the stock market. Okay. Okay. So that's what you looked at when you leave the stock Wall Street. That was like
Can I ask a
everything's
question?
open.
Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
I never heard about the S&P being priced
In gold.
in gold. So is that a metric Wall Street looks at when they evaluate
So,
assets?
I mean, you can price S&P in oil too. You can price it in anything. You just have to look at, say, like, so I said in 2000, there is a dollar value of the S&P that was equivalent to ounces of gold, right? So how do I take out the impact of the dollar? Is converting it into like ounces of gold. So you could do that trade. You could do that comparison from like S&P was worth X many barrels of oil. And then, so you could always do that. It's called like a relative value analysis. That's something we did on Wall Street, was looking at relative value, which is like, it's stripping away noise from your data sets and trying to look at like what's actually going on. Sorry, go ahead.
So if I'm correct, you're comparing basically with commodities?
Well, that in particular, like I'm comparing it to
With
gold.
with those two particularly or not?
Sorry, can you clarify the question?
Like a
are
gold
you
and oil?
Like gold and oil, right?
Yeah.
It's basically commodity,
Mhm.
if I'm correct. So-
What's the like a standard
so is there
measurement?
like a standard measurement outside of the dollar itself, or?
Yeah. So the question is, sorry, I'm going to repeat the questions for the benefit of the folks on Zoom. So the question is there a standard relative value, I guess, like comparison for like the S&P 500?
Right.
So one way to do that, what's called like comparing the value in like real terms. So you remove the impact of inflation too. So you'd have to do it in terms of something else. Gold is one of the more popular metrics to use. Peter Schiff has, like, I'm sure you've heard of him. He's the one behind, like, making that a little bit popular, amongst other things. But you can do it in any other way as well, as long as you know what the price of S&P was and the price of, you can, like, you were talking about commodities, but for instance, like if you use I think the Case-Shiller Home Index has a value in 2000, right? So you can actually price the S&P relative to Case-Shiller, which is like the national U.S. housing market, is what it's trying to do, and then compare how the S&P performed in terms of housing values, and see how it is.
So is that what you did right before you left the Wall Street?
So It wasn't as technical as that. And it'd be great if I could be like, yeah, like, you know, I looked at like these data and did data analysis. It was more so like a gut feeling on, okay, like one of the big realizations I had while I was still on Wall Street was basically, so like our biggest clients are like, you know, like large public or private U.S. corporations.
Mm-hmm.
They are really like active, which means we have more deal flow, and therefore I'm doing better as like an employee on Wall Street. When the stock market or the capital markets generally, be it equities, which is like the stock market, or the debt markets is up. If you guys didn't know, the debt markets are actually like 10x the size of the stock market. Like that includes bonds, loans, all kinds of instruments, short-term lending, money markets. That's 10 times bigger than the stock market. But so when I was looking at that, I was like, oh, like most people invest in like a 401k or like the stock market. It's kind of like diversify their salary away in case something happens. They're like, oh, I've invested in the stock market, so like I lost my job, I can like sell my stocks and then like I'll have some money to run expenses or something. Except I have my salary and my ability to keep a job directly correlated with the stock market. So I wanted something that would
The other side of what you.
which is what we call like uncorrelated to the equity markets. For me, that was real estate and startups. I wasn't as good at startup investing as I was at real estate. A little better now, but yeah. So that's like that was like a big driver for what I was looking at. Was like, oh, like I want to do something that protects me in the downside if I lose my job, and if the stock market tanks.
Okay, to kind of hedge.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay.
So you know, like there's like this comment about like the millionaire has on average 7 streams of income.
7 streams of income.
Which is like kind of like a mean version of what they're really saying is they have 7 investment streams. Like one of them is a business usually. That's how most millionaires make their money. Another one's like real estate. Another one is going to be like annuity debt instruments. But like, you know, like having all those things set up, stocks, real estate, your job, or a business, it's just then you're never relying on one thing. So it's kind of like if you're at a restaurant and you have like 7 waiters attending to you, at any given point, I doubt like all 7 will be busy, and it's kind of a nice way to think about it.
Yeah. Okay. And questions are good. I want to ask your first real estate move. Any. It doesn't have to be commercial or anything. What did you do with the real estate?
Sure. So this is 2012. I'm about
How old are you?
I don't know. It's like I graduated 21 in 2008, so I was like 25.
Oh, at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 39 now. No, back then, 2012. I was 25. My parents, being immigrants, have a strong attachment to real estate.
Okay.
Probably more than healthy. But they were like, hey, you have to buy a house now. Like that's like what's the American dream.
Right.
And I'm like sitting on Wall Street going like,
what are you thinking about it now?
I think that's partially true. Like I think you should own some amount of real estate, and it shouldn't. Like you can own real estate through the stock market, but that's not the same as like owning real estate directly.
Why is that?
Like when you own, like I was saying, like when you own real estate directly, like you have control. Like you are the CEO. You can put more debt on it. You can pay off debt. You decide where it goes. Do you want to be in the hipster neighborhood that's up and coming? So maybe it's not a lot of cash flow, but the value is going to go up. Or do you want to be in an established neighborhood with the families where you will have a consistent renter, so cash flow yield? Do you want to do new development? You want to do a value add?
I see.
Like you have control there, so you can design it to do what's best for you. But sorry, where was I saying? Oh, so they like this my first deal. So they were like, you should buy real estate. So I was like, okay. So I started looking for deals, and then being from Florida, I was like, okay, like that's kind of where I know the market. If I fly back home to like for the holidays, I can like go visit a property. So we ended up finding what's technically a 4-plex, ironically on Main Street in what's Belglade, Florida, which is a very rural part of Palm Beach County.
Okay.
And it's near where all the sugar mills are. I thought I got a steal. I bought the house for like $70,000. I used IRA money.
Wow.
I did this complex transaction between my 401k, the IRA, trying to make it tax free. But I bought it for $60,000. I put $10,000 in to like kind of like renovate it up. Granted, it's 2012, but houses aren't really that cheap. so the story will eventually reveal why it's so cheap. So they had like a main property, like this big house, a unit in the front, and then 3 studios in the back.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And how was it not still?
So
what did you find out?
So initially, I was like, I was making like 22%, like on paper, and it was great. But you know, tenants move out, things happen, and eventually realized like it was too difficult to manage because it was like a Class D property in, can't say the hood because it's actually rural, but it's just like a very remote part of like the county. It took like 55 minutes to get to from like where my parents lived. So every time I'd visit, I'd be like, nah, I'm not going there. So like, I would try to hire a property manager. We tried to manage it, and it was just like difficult tenants. The property was like not that not that enticing for tenants. And then it was also in a part of town that was just too far away. There was not enough development going on for the value to come up. I eventually sold it for like, I'm gonna say like 100-something thousand.
Okay.
Like
That's
in
still win.
2019. Yeah. Like that's the kind of like the interesting thing with real estate is that like if you give real estate enough time, like you'll eventually be right. Like it'll be slow and painful, but you'll get there.
Slow and painful. Yeah.
But yeah, like you know, in that deal, arguably I didn't make a lot relative to like what I had to like do and like the money I put in, but it taught me a lot about understanding like no, you got to be in the path for me. I want to be in the path of progress. I need to have management reach. And it, you know, it taught me a lot about like what I want to invest in and how I want to like develop my real estate investing strategy.
Okay, and then what's the next move?
So, I ended up buying a quad. I want to say in 2013 or 14, a quadplex, in a much better part of town.
Okay.
Had good tenants, and then because it's in a better part of town, I had like multiple property managers interested. Had leasing agents interested, so it was much easier to manage.
Yep.
Got good tenants, it was making decent cash flow, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. If, like, you know, like, so I ended up buying another one. That's the part I forgot. So I bought another quad, and then as the cash flow starts compounding, I was like, you know, if I didn't have a mortgage to pay in the form of a Manhattan rent, I might actually be able to like live off this. And I was like, so as part of like, you know, wanting to like change my career, change my lifestyle, I started buying more like quads and duplexes.
Right.
And then ultimately in 2016, I was like, all right, I'm done. Time to go.
Right. Okay. So that the real asset started generating more buying power for you, and then you just fired your W-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like, I think like one of the interesting things.
How many units? How many doors did you have at that point?
When I left Wall Street?
Yeah.
Maybe around,
Less than 10 doors.
no, I lived like between 12 and, I closed on a deal like right after I left Wall Street, which was 6 units. So I don't remember if I had 10 or 16. So somewhere
Okay.
between there.
Okay. That was a magic number.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for me, I wanted to like, look, like nothing comes without sacrifice. So I didn't take that like and then go live in like a nice condo or anything like that. I moved in like my parents' neighborhood or my parents' house. I lived in my brother's teenage room. He didn't have a Corvette, which I was actually kind of sad about. But you know, like, and then I reinvested every dollar I had back into my business. I didn't raise outside capital until like last year.
Okay.
And I self-funded the business using debt and equity from like from my current deals into every new deal.
Okay.
And at our peak, we had 65 doors. We're down to 40 something doors, right? 41 or 42. But I've also pivoted away from apartments. We do other
Okay.
things now.
Yeah, we're here to listen to your full X story with the assisted living facility. Then you move into assisted living now?
Via shopping centers.
Okay, okay.
So what attracted me about assisted living was like I was looking for commercial deals. Around 2018, like I thought the multifamily market in Florida had peaked, and boy was I wrong. So I started looking at commercial assets, looked at shopping centers, and one of the brokers I worked with called me and he said, hey, there's an assisted living deal. It's essentially a triple net single tenant lease. And you know, like I'd mentioned, I've worked with assisted living providers on the national scale from Wall Street. So I was like, okay, like I'll check it out. Like this is really interesting to me. Like I know the industry. I know it's in a good it's got good tailwinds, like the industry's getting better and better. So we toured the property, and look, when you have a single tenant lease, the entire value of that property is derived from who the tenant is. So you got to meet the tenant. So or in this case, in the system, it's called the operator.
Yeah.
So meet the operator. They actually mentioned they want to sell. I was like, oh, interesting. I've sort of done this. I wonder if I can do this. And the business wasn't doing great, so they listed for a great price. And it was probably the right price, but it reflected the difficulty and the hard work needed to turn around that business. So I ended up buying both the real estate, like the building, and the business.
Okay.
And became an operator myself, and I was licensed.
What was the cap rate at the entrance?
There was no cap rate because they weren't making any money. It was 40% vacancy, or sorry, 40% occupancy, so 60% vacancy.
How much was per bed?
It was in the low 40s, like less than 45 a bed.
And versus market average was
Like around 100 for that kind of asset.
good deal.
Mhm.
As long as you can make it work as a business, that's a
Right.
steal. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you like buy assets, you got to remember, it's not just the price you pay; it's also about the money you put in. So we bought it for quite like 42 a bed, but we have to also put in money, which means our effective, I think, purchase price was more like 55 a bed at the end of the day.
Okay. 55. Okay. And then with a 40% occupancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and
the
you
story-
became an operator.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was gonna say the story there is like, it was a husband and wife team alongside a second group. So it's 3 people, but only 2 entities. And they essentially had started this business together, but they didn't run it as a business, and they didn't have systems. They didn't have any it's really just systems, right? Like, how do you do things? Like, how do you buy groceries? They were like running to like Publix or like Walmart on a daily basis, versus after I bought the business, I was like, no, we get weekly deliveries from like a proper supplier, so like no one's running to go get groceries. And putting the systems and processes in place to like make it a proper professional business.
Okay.
And like they did what they could. They started that business, but I hope they did well. I don't know what the basis was, but I think I took it to the next level where we had someone then come acquire it from us. But yeah, we found that. So I saw the building was like only 40% occupied. Worked out a marketing plan with them that I actually funded for them. So we had like a revenue share for any new clients they got. We paid for their marketing. So when we actually closed, we had 20. So it went from 14 to 21 residents. It's a 26 bed facility. So I think we like doubled the occupancy between us putting under contract to close.
Wow. Okay. And then put the system in the operation side.
Yeah, that we did after close. 'Cause
Okay.
It had to become my business for it to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And occupancy wise, how did you you were absolutely nobody in that industry at that point? How did you bump up the 60% rest of it?
I really wish ChatGPT existed back then. But, I got like a week of training from them, and we figured out. I learned from them like who their referral sources were, whatever. So first we did was like paid marketing. Was we paid like placement agencies for leads and trying to just bring in people. Then over time establishing like direct relationships with referral sources. Like there were certain hospital wings that the caseworkers got to really know me well, who knew what kind of residents we could handle, and just build a relationship with them. Where it's saying like, hey, we have for them it's a patient, for us it's a resident. We have a client basically who has X needs and they have Y financial ability. This is the exact box for Suhan, and since we connected, and they would start sending us referrals that way.
Okay. Okay. And if you guys have any question, raise your hand. So that was your entrance. How long did you own it, and how did you end up exiting that deal?
We bought it like first quarter-ish of 2019. We got into contract probably the first half of 2022, but they're buying and selling these things requires like regulatory approval and processes. So we closed the end of 2022, like 3.5 years.
Okay. Who did you sell it to? How much?
So there was another ALF owner, in our market, and they were like say in the western part of the county, and we were in the eastern part. So they thought we were like the next like it made so much sense for them to have like that location. They expand their footprint, expand their branding, go from the west side to and have something on the east side. So it was like someone else in the market.
Okay, okay. Who wants to run your assisted living facility here? Excellent.
Who wants to do it? Or
Yeah, who wants to do it?
I'm interested.
What attracts you about senior living, or assisted living in particular?
I think it's a growing market, sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
people are
No
living
question.
longer than they have before, I mean, so,
Well, will that be the income stream? Is it some sort of a guarantee because most of them are paid by the government?
That's less true than you think.
There's a lot of room for improvement because the facilities are so poorly run right now, and like if you can show people value, then they're going to come to your place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
And I like the real estate and the operations component. Then you can use like agency debt, SBA or HUD.
So you're
Right,
buying the
so let's
business.
so let's talk about these three things. So Frank, to answer your question, it depends on what state you're in. Because ALFs are not considered assisted living, are not considered healthcare providers. They don't qualify for Medicare.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, my daughter, I said, my daughter works in California and on a place that.
California is a different animal. They have their own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I saw that as profitable business.
It is. It is.
And I actually, I thought about it here. I saw property and he had like about, I think it was like about 6 or 7 rooms and had about 5 or 6 bathrooms. So on my mind right away, I go, look at this. It's just that I figured that, I mean, just to get into the fact that you gotta go through the red tapes on, permitting and all this stuff. And I went just getting a permit for a conversion of my house. I went that with the county and it took me about a year. And, every inspector that came in will have different demands. At the end of the day, it was going to hear, and I said to one of them, I mean, when are we gonna get done with this? Oh, how long you been doing it for? About a year. Oh, there's people that have 3 and haven't gotten their permit yet. So I'm like, what? So, I mean, seeing that, I'm like, no, I don't think I wanna do that. That's what deters me from.
Yeah, so red tape and bureaucracy it's a double-edged sword, right? It's a curse because it's a lot to get through, but it's a blessing because your competitors, any new competitor, has to do it too. So if you can figure it out, it can become your advantage. But to get back to your question about the payers, we have to get to the origin of assisted living. So in the spectrum of like senior housing, there's what we call a continuum of care. The highest acuity is what we call skilled nursing. That's like what most people actually think about when they think nursing homes. And then on the exact opposite end is what we call independent living. That's just a 55 plus apartment community. And in the middle here is like what I do, assisted living. Assisted living was created essentially by like an act of Congress to take people who didn't need 24-hour nursing care, who were in like nursing homes back in the 80s, and move them into a lower level of care. So what assisted living provide is what we call activities of daily living. That's assistance with meals, laundry, turn down service like beds, housekeeping, and then activities. So we're not a healthcare provider, so we don't get to bill Medicare, but some states have Medicaid programs. Frankly, you're saying like California, very rich Medicaid program, very rich state. They provide a lot of reimbursement. State of Florida, not so much. Wisconsin, so it depends on the state.
Nevada.
I don't know anything about
Medicaid
Nevada.
and Medicare are two completely different beasts too.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of people don't understand that Medicaid and Medicare are so completely different, and like Medicaid will cover a lot of stuff that Medicare will not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's also how you qualify for it. Medicare is like, it's an American birthright. Like if you're an American, you get it. If you're in Medicaid, there's a lot of things you gotta go through to qualify. And then, sorry, Christian, what was your comment?
About buying the business?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or the fact that there's the ones that I know of, especially here in
they're
town,
poorly run.
they're very poorly run.
Yeah. So this is the interesting thing about assisted living assisted living is effectively like your clients are baby boomers, but so are the owners.
Yeah.
So like the last building I bought, the owner was 78. Like he had no like he was the operator. His wife was technically the like administrator.
It's time for him.
Yeah, it's like I was like he should be retiring and going into community himself. And so they've owned these businesses for like decades now, right? Like he bought his business like originally 2003, so like 23 years ago. Like so, you know, like a lot of the owners in assisted living, they're tired themselves, want to retire, and are sort of done like growing, right? So for the last 5 years, have not invested in their building, and that's a big opportunity. And then,
Johannes?
yeah, Johannes, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, I like, the real estate and operations component, so
The lending
you can
bank.
always, you can
Yeah.
always sell the operations side and keep the real estate and collect lease payments, right?
This is one of the things I find super interesting about assisted living, and it touches across the board, but I think two big things. Assisted living is one of the few asset classes that are SBA financeable, alongside say like self-storage, because there's a business in this building.
Yep.
So you can get up to 90% leverage if you're the right operator. Please don't go out and do a 9% loan if you're not. But you know, there's a diversity of capital sources available in senior housing. There is your typical agency debt, like or HUD, that you know, like the government just trying to create housing for everyone, and then you have from the business side like SBA loans, and then you have obviously banks, CMBS, and everything else in between, private lenders. But that like the nature of the fact that there's a business and real estate allows it for it to be really creatively financed. And then also, like it also allows like you to decide where you want to play. Maybe you like this asset, you really like the industry trends. You don't want to own a business, so you become the landlord. You find someone who wants to be the operator, lease it to them, hire a management company. Like you can do a lot of creative structures. In our last deal, we actually have 3 entities involved. We have investors who own both. We have investors who only own the real estate. We could technically set up a structure for an entity for investors who only want to own the business. Very few people ever want to do that. But yeah, like you can spice it up in a lot of different ways, and would really be specific in like where you want to be exposed to and like what do you want to be invested in.
So knowing what you know now, living in Las Vegas.
Not like Florida.
No, living in Las
Oh.
Vegas. Let's say you live in Las Vegas.
For our audience, yeah.
What would you do?
Is that a question for them?
Yeah.
or-
No. What would you do?
So I know that Vegas is a retirement community for Canadians, right? Like I think that's alongside Arizona
Californians.
and Californians, right? Or so it's figuring out like who is moving here from where and what do they want, and then trying to tie that to the trends in assisted living. Assisted living, the majority of populace, usually women, they outlive men. So these are the triggers that like make someone move into assisted living.
Any race?
Generally across the board.
Okay.
I don't think we have data on that because that could get edgy. But,
Yeah.
but typically what happens is like you have like grandparents who are living alone. One of them passes away, typically the grandpa. So now grandma's living by herself. So she moves into a community, and she'll probably most likely move into a community next to her grandkids.
Yeah.
Or you have someone living on their own, living their best life, and they have a fall or some other medical event that renders them incapable of living by themselves. And that's usually determined by like their healthcare provider. So what does that mean? So you have to be in the places that people are moving. Like you need to be, so if you look at trends like Nevada and Las Vegas, generally multifamily is like has grown here, people are moving here. That means they're probably gonna bring their grandparents here too because the grandkids are here. And then you also have to understand like who your client is. It's actually not the grandparent, like the resident. They're important. Like you have to make sure their needs and their wants are met. But the person really making the decision is usually the eldest daughter. They are the person who runs most of like the parents' healthcare and their other needs.
So true. Yeah. Think about your family. I'm thinking of
Why
my
does it
family.
always fall on the oldest daughter?
Yeah, and then after that's the eldest son. So it's usually the eldest of some version, and then
Okay. So
Yeah.
you will look at where the kids generations are moving,
Yeah.
growing. Okay.
because the grandkids are a big part of
What-
like what brings your residents in.
And what about situation and condition of that facility you're buying? Would you look at the lower occupation again?
Yeah, so we bought it essentially vacant.
Yeah.
I think so. Like I have a real estate portfolio. We do a little bit of multifamily. We do a lot more multifamily than I want. We have like typical commercial retail. Then we have assisted living. I generate cash flow from like these buckets, and assisted living is my value creation. Like I think that given where we are in the market cycle, where assisted living is undersupplied and underinvested, like that asset class to me has the biggest potential for like value creation and equity creation. Like if you look at multifamily, like there's like cranes everywhere. Like there's
Yeah, that's what a student from Florida says. They have the largest net migration of 65 plus in the entire nation. Florida has the largest net migration. Nevada, Las Vegas is still behind, although we feel a lot of seniors are moving in. So
you guys are still top 10 though.
yeah. West
Maybe
side
like
is
7 or 8.
Phoenix, like Arizona, Nevada are leading on the west side. But we are following the population and the market shaping wise. We are following where he is right now, and he is still saying like undersupplied and over demand. So we definitely should work on something in Las Vegas market as well, and we should steal his brain. Target the kids first order, and first order. And
Eldest
then
daughter.
Eldest daughter.
Which I guess is technically your first
and
daughter
then
too.
lower occupancy and focus on equity multiplier appreciation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Kristen.
And I was gonna say, you had mentioned that you took a multifamily that you bought and turned it into an ALF. How did that work out for you?
Okay, so the question is about my first deal. That was a conversion from a 9-unit into a 26-bed assisted living.
Okay.
I bought it post construction.
Oh.
So
Okay.
someone else did that renovation, but typically Florida essentially, I mean, it's like kind of like how you do any other conversion. The state, the county, the city have guidelines for ALFs. Generally speaking, in Florida, every residential dwelling unit can hold up to 6 people. And then there's other guidelines that say like, if you have an assisted living, you need to have X many square foot of common area for every person. So between like those two constraints, like your capacity increaser, like 6 per living unit, so 9 times 6 is 54. And then the square footage requirement for common area, it got brought down to 26. And then obviously they left space for a courtyard. We need space for a kitchen. That those things don't count toward anything but eat up your space, right? We need X many bathrooms. There was 13 bathrooms in the building, right? So there's some magic there, math there, right? Not magic. I guess it's a little bit of
It
magic
is
too.
magic.
Yeah. So like you'd have to go through the zoning laws to figure that out, and then you have to execute. Like you got to knock the walls down. When I spoke to the guy who did it, he was like, yeah, it was so much demo involved. They actually just brought a bobcat in and ran it through the building. Yeah, a bobcat, for those who don't know, is a mini bulldozer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you exited with a 4X.
Oh, one second. Jonas had a question.
Go ahead.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
Maybe CJ was gonna. Yeah, what's the exit strategy? Are you?
Yeah. So
Are you
entrance,
exiting
we learned
with
the
the
lower
roof?
occupancy and then do heavy lifting work, operationally and then physically in the building. And exit strategy. What is your like a typical?
I wish I had like some magic exit strategy, but these buildings are so in demand. You have like people calling you to make offers. So like, and more so now than even before. Like, so basically, like we stabilized the building. Like 2019, I bought the building, which is the best time to buy an ALF, because within 6 months we had a global pandemic. Like, you can't take new clients, you can't do any of this. But eventually, like we actually had the pandemic years were actually some of the best for us because we had really intense infection control protocols. So we had 0 infections until the very end, which made us very popular for clients, but growers. But basically, I got a call from a broker one day, and he says like, "Hey, do you want to sell?" And I was like, "No, I'm making X amount." And he's like, "I'll give you 10x that." And I was like, "Oh, well then." So I was like, "Yeah." He's like, he went out, did the process, and he actually got me even better because he offered me a 10 cap and we got a 9 cap.
That's when interest rate was like a 3s.
No,
Right.
the interest rate by then was in like the fours.
Fours.
So 100 bips higher, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so the new building I bought, like mid renovation, someone made an offer to buy it $1 million more than we bought. Like they would have doubled their equity. They decided not to do that deal, so perhaps like that's not a real bid. And they outlined why, and they do other deals, so like makes sense. And like literally today I got another bid on it. Like, so should you have an exit plan in mind? Yes, but a lot of times because given the demand of these assets,
Yeah.
like people are just calling you and saying like I'll buy your building.
Based on condition.
Uh-huh.
And what are you working on? Any deals? Any plan?
Mm-hmm. So
What's your venture?
the goal for me is, look, when I was in the industry, I just saw, like Kristen, to your point, things that should, like, there a lot of it probably was illegal, but regardless, like, just was not right. Like, I think, like you're treating someone's, like you're in charge of someone's grandparents. It's not that complicated to treat them with dignity and still make money. Like, you can do good and still do well. Like,
Yeah.
it's not hard. And so what I would like to do right now is, in addition to obviously like trying to do good for myself, is create a middle market brand that treats our residents with dignity and is like, look, like I probably can't do that for every person out there, every senior out there, but there is a large swath of them that I can like cater to, do well, create great living conditions, create good living conditions, so they're not just like sitting in a room watching TV. They have engagement, they have good food, that they like get enrichment. So that's the goal. Like, have an idea for a brand, essentially across the U.S., targeting specific markets that I think are the best, and then those that aren't, like we'll figure out a strategy for them later. And that's the idea. Like, so we have a couple of deals in the pipeline. We're being at the moment opportunistic. Deals come up. We're looking at. Like when I was thinking that Johanna is like, there's so many different capital strategies at play. I've looked at a deal right now where I can assume the HUD loan at 4.25%, but I've also looked at a deal where they had like a private capital loan. They essentially went bankrupt because the interest rate was high, so the private capital guys owned it, and then like you're just buying out their debt position. So there's a massive opportunity there because that asset is worth, you're buying an asset where like finance at like 80% LTV, so you're buying the debt with a little bit of premium. So there's a lot of interesting things happening with that. So we're being kind of opportunistic, but the goal is to eventually build a platform to cater to the middle class seniors in the U.S.
And what returns would you be generating?
I know you love our last deal, which is like 4.5, but like I don't want to ever promise that to like investors. We promise, like a standard 20% IRR between 2 and 3 times equity.
Yeah.
And then there's like that might be a little bit more, a little bit less, but like if on a portfolio basis, like if we do enough deals, like we'll get to those numbers, and I think particularly if you compare them to like multifamily, I think we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The 2x is even hard, almost impossible in my opinion, with the multifamily these days.
Yeah.
And the senior care home assisted living can not easily, but it's not surprising to see 2.5, 3x, just like he did a 4x. That's crazy.
So, and that's, like this goes back to kind of what I was saying about like the S&P 500. Every guy who's a money manager right now is someone I started working with, right? Like 20 years ago on Wall Street. No one has ever been an investor in an increasing rate environment. For their entire life as an investor, they were in a declining interest rate environment, which I think actually creates a lot of opportunity for people who actually add real value, because you're seeing them blow up now, like all these multifamily guys who buy deals at this cap rate, low interest rates, bridge loan, lever it up, and then hoping like rates get cut or like cap rates go down like 5 years from now, but aren't actually adding real value. So if you're willing to do the work, like get your hands dirty, like I think this is the best time to be an operator.
That's well said.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions, guys?
How many hours per week do you put in as an operator for one assisted living?
How many hours a day do you put in?
I'm
as an
smiling.
operator?
So
Probably
the question
30
is,
hours a day.
the question is, how many hours a week do I spend as an operator? So when I had my first facility and it was a new operator, I worked anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a day. So sometimes not too bad. It's 7 days a week for 6 months straight. And then, my new partners have convinced me, like, I don't need to be the operator. They're like, go hire a management company, and you can manage them and, leverage my experience that way. And you would just, it's like I can tell 10 different operators what to do versus like me trying to do it. So right now I actually so our building isn't operational yet. So technically I'm not spending any time operating, but I'm spending like 5-6 hours a week on the asset because it's in renovation mode, right? There's a plan, someone's executing it, we check to make sure we are in place, and then we spend a couple of hours to make sure, like, we're about to bring in a management company, so I don't think that 5-6 hours would go down, but if you have the right staff, the right people working for you, like, I have a foreman who checks the work on site, sends me photos, tells me something's wrong.
Right system.
Right, yeah, so like we have a tour on Friday, so he's not my foreman, I don't actually know what to call him, he's like the guy below him, assistant manager, I don't know. So he toured the building today to make sure everything was okay. He's like, hey, this door, something's wrong with it, let me go fix it. Like, but, like the systems and steps are in place, like that's the key thing. Like that's how you leverage, that's how you scale.
Who's interested in like investing in assisted living passively? It doesn't have to be his at some point. Not like being an owner, just investing in capital to put the double digit on the money. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. Just getting back to your Wall Street background. Hey, what's your so what's Wall Street's impression on gold? Getting back to the gold again. I mean, do they hold physical gold in their balance sheet, or they just need something that generates income?
So, whenever you ask someone for their opinion, you have to understand like what their motivation is. It's like in I forget when it was, the 80s or 90s, but basically the people who came up with the prior food pyramid, who said fat was evil and sugar is better for you, were 3 Harvard scientists who were paid by the sugar industry. So you got to understand their motivations. So gold has been securitized and turned into an asset that like Wall Street can profit from now. So they're more inclined to invest in gold now. Before they were not, because they don't get paid on gold. Same things with like, if you want to own real estate directly, they're not going to get paid on it. So they don't want you to do it because it reduces the assets under management for them that you're giving them, so they can reduce their fees. So if you ask like the super heavy asset managers, like what they want, yeah, they like gold. They think it's a hedge. It's a hedge against both inflation and chaos in the world, which we see a lot of right now. But if you ask your regular broker, like what he wants, or regular, financial advisor, he's going to tell you not to do it because you can't access it.
Like Blackstone, do you think Blackstone owns gold?
So Blackstone has a specific mandate to do certain things, so they can't invest in gold. Every fund manager, when they put together their prospectus or like what they're investing, will outline what they do. Blackstone has like some funds that invest in like corporations, so they'll go out and buy companies. Blackstone's biggest fund invests in real estate, so that fund can actually only buy real estate. They can't go buy corporations. Now Blackstone might buy a gold miner because they like gold. But that's a hard question to answer because for instance, like if you have a hedge fund manager, if they can't invest in commodities, they can't invest in gold, but they can go buy gold stocks like for gold miners.
Where do you think the current economy is going? Let's say this year forecast.
The economy's like surviving on vibes. It's not real. Like if you look at unemployment, right, like which is what they call U4, it's like 4 or something, right? 4 and change, like 4.4, 4.5. If you look at what they call the U17 number, which includes discouraged workers, people who stop looking for a job because they have been looking for a job for so long, they stop looking for a job. That person is unemployed, but is not in the unemployment number. That number is.
Say that again.
Yeah. So when you look at unemployment, there's different numbers for unemployment.
Okay.
The number that everyone quotes on the media and the politicians quote is what's called U4. It excludes people who are so unemployed that they've stopped looking for work. But that doesn't mean that person's no longer unemployed just because they're not counted. So U4, the headline number, is 4 and change, right? U17, if you include the people who are discouraged, it's at 22 or 25%.
So essentially, 2 people out of 10 are out of work.
Yeah, a quarter of the US, quarter of our workforce is unemployed right now, if you include people who should be employed but aren't looking for work. And then there's an argument there about like, what is the actual labor population? Like, is it every person in the US who should be working?
Like, am I an employee?
Huh?
Am I an employee? I'm not an employee.
Yeah, you're
Or
technically
self-employed.
self-employed, but it also depends on like, the other number that it does include is people who are underemployed, and that's much harder to gauge, right? Because if you're working like part-time, you actually count as being employed. But if you're working 10 to 20 hours a week but want to work 40 hours, then you're underemployed, right? Or what happens if you work 40 hours a week but you're not making enough because the wages are so low, you can't pay your bills, so you're trying to work 60 hours a week. Are you now underemployed too? So these numbers have a lot of like gaslighting in them, or smoke and mirrors. So
Interesting.
from my perspective, like assets are an all-time high, like the stock market, because the value of the dollars collapsed. They did that, like the political argument is to like bring the reshore manufacturing and to help current manufacturers export abroad, but it's also making everything in the US way more expensive.
Yeah.
So this is really hard right now to answer because it's like you have unemployment that's like at a quarter of the population, but everyone thinks they're richer because their home price, well, the home price is starting to fall now, but the stock market gets like super high. So like, I don't know, like a part of me wants to be a doomsday and be like, the billionaires have robots and AI, they don't need us anymore. But then there's also like, well, with AI and robots, like that could potentially create new jobs that could employ more people. So, I mean, the way I express my uncertainty in how I invest is, what is the most certain thing? It's baby boomers turning 65, then those 65-year-olds turning 78. It's senior housing. Like, so
Yeah.
that explains why
It's
I am where I
guaranteed.
am. Like, I stopped investing in apartments because the current immigration policies are leading to depopulation in the U.S. for the first time in U.S. history. So what does that mean for apartments? And we're overbuilding, so don't want to do that. But does that mean we still need services nearby? So maybe retail, but senior housing,
10,000 people turning 65 every day.
underinvested, underutilized, and the population, or at least the market segment is
Undersupplied,
growing.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
Would
Interesting.
you ever get into new construction of assisted living?
So the way I think of like new construction or new development in general in real estate is like, basically if like, it's like venture investing in the real estate, on the real estate. You do new development when there's no more like land developed, right? Like if you, like right now, if you build a condo in Miami, that's a terrible idea because there's so much, not only supply, but there's also land out in Miami, right? In New York City, new development's a great idea because there's literally no land, right? So that's a market by market question. Like I would do new development, maybe in New York City, maybe in California, where there's no space to build. But at the same time, a lot of the senior assets are underinvested and older. So it might make sense just to buy an older asset and
Yeah.
renovate it versus like doing new construction.
Faster and easier.
Yeah, faster, easier, shorter return. Like, so you might not get the perfect asset you want, but you can get pretty close.
And then you share the interesting data in Florida. New building has been all the A or A plus class, high end.
Yeah,
Over
I mean,
luxury
new
class.
development generally is class A. If you're gonna spend the time and money to build something new, you're going to build the best to get the highest price.
So you're intentionally targeting middle class, B
Yeah.
class,
Mhm.
assisted living
So this is all considered commercial, correct? Commercial.
facilities. Yeah.
Because of the fact that if you go into, let's just say, if you go into a neighborhood and want to convert a big house, like I have a 3,000.
To a home.
3,000 square house, I could make that into maybe 15 little rooms, you know?
The risk I see with that is you might be buying another job for you. You can't afford like a big organized management company. You have to manage the business.
So the question, I guess, for those on Zoom is the value of converting a house into an assisted living. You said 15 rooms. In Nevada, you can't do that. Zoning won't allow for that. If you have a single family home, I think the cap in Nevada is 10 residents.
Oh,
But you can do co-living, which is a lot less stress, and you can get, I mean, depending on the house, right now you're looking at what, $200 to $250 a week per room.
But that's different from assisted living.
But that's
So you don't.
completely different from assisted living. But I'm saying, like, if he were to do that with his 3,000 square foot house, that would be the better play versus assisted living.
Sounds like you should talk to her.
yeah.
Okay.
I do have a 3,000 square.
Okay, we have to close soon, guys. Any other questions? I was thinking, so he's leaving
Tomorrow afternoon.
tomorrow afternoon. I mean, like, as a friend, stealing so much information, education, and insight. As you just saw, like, this guy's, you know, from another planet, right? If we could set up a quick brunch tomorrow, would you guys be interested or too busy? Who can come?
I got a little busy.
What time?
9-ish, 10,
9 or 10. Yeah.
10-ish, like by
I was
the
like,
airport,
brunch
at the
is at 9.
town square. By the airport, who can come? Okay. And who can come after this event tonight? He just got married.
Thanks.
But wife is not in town. Wife is not in town.
Dude, it's an hour
I
flight
have
away,
to
man,
change his
relax.
life. I can't teach him anything with financials, but I can teach him Vegas lifestyle. So if you guys can hang out after this, maybe like cigar bar or something.
Yeah.
Join us, just as a friend. You make new friend. Okay, that's good. Let's talk
Hey,
with.
do you want to ask Zoom if they have any questions?
Yeah, let's talk for the brunch later, guys. 3 of you, Ricardo.
What was that?
Brunch tomorrow.
I will be busy.
Okay, you, Nancy. Okay, let's go. Timo no Skype, Zoom. Any questions? None? Yes, no. Okay. Good to see you guys. Hey Nick, what's going on? Hold on. I can hear you.
Biggest activity tonight.
Guys, my wife's on the Zoom.
Really?
She's right there.
Alright, Nick, I had to kick you out, Nick. Nick, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, thanks for showing up. Okay. So we go back to questions. If no question, we do photo shoot and you guys discharged. Okay?
Thanks for showing up, guys.
Well, thank you very much, Suwan. Okay, bye. Bye, Zoom, bye. Hey, bye.